Just when we all thought the Eagles' offseason couldn't get any better, more news drops, as the Eagles' best player is preparing to surprise even more people in ways we did not expect in 2025. Plus, a sneaky position battle actually taking shape this week, and what the newest Eagles said about the Birds' culture that likely puts to bed Philly's top trade target. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. With training camp less than a month away, you'd think the boys would be relaxing at home or on a vacation somewhere, and while I can't speak for everybody, Philadelphia's tight end core is not doing that. So they're spending this week down at Vanderbilt for Tight End University. What exactly is Tight End University? Well, it's a 3-day tight end focused camp led by Greg Olsen, George Kittle, and Travis Kelce, where over 50 active NFL tight ends convene to work on technique, film study, and drills. And Philadelphia's coalition this year consists of Dallas Goedert, Grant Calcaterra, and EJ Jenkins. More on Tight End Unit in a second. First, though, less than 500 subscribers away from giving the signed Kyle Schwarber bat, courtesy from our friends at Legends, away to someone who drops a like and leaves a comment. So go ahead and comment down below. I need to get rid of this thing. I think we might do it this week. Subscribe now. I do think Tight End University highlights a position battle inside Philadelphia that no one is talking about heading into training camp. First off, Philadelphia's other three tight ends, and I guess Goddard as well, are all playing on the final year of their contracts. I mean, the Eagles have 0 tight ends signed for the 2026 season. And while I do think Grant Calcaterra, for instance, has a chance to shine, maybe because he did just that in limited starts when Goedert was hurt for a few games, as he historically was this past season, but I also would not rule out the newcomer of the group, and that is Kylen Granson, who, according to reports, had a very impressive OTA time. Granson signed to Philadelphia a while ago, so you might have forgotten this, but he's one of those mid-round picks by the Colts back in 2021 who endured the ever-evolving door at quarterback that has been in Indy since his rookie year. As Granson played alongside Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, Nick Foles, Sam Ehlinger, Gardner Minshew, Anthony Richardson, and Joe Flacco. Well, of course, his numbers were never really there in Indianapolis, hence why he signed a one-year deal for very cheap in Philadelphia. Granson and the rest of the tight end group were very active during OTAs in Philly this summer, with CBS Sports noting a couple of weeks ago, quote, "There's been a heavy dose of tight ends, Goedert, Harrison Bryant, Calcaterra, through the 2 open practices. This isn't how Ken Patullo's new offense is going to look, but the unit has been featuring the tight ends, the majority of whom are present at the voluntary workouts over the wide receivers." And Granson has been known as this really impressive pass-catching tight end who has all the tools to be, maybe not great, but pretty decent. And although Calcaterra has been in the system for longer, and I think that's the real battle here because newcomer Harrison Bryant, more of a blocking tight end, this position battle, no one's talking about it right now, but tight end 2 behind Goedert, it's pretty important. And as I just mentioned, someone has to get a contract extension this offseason. There's extra motivation to go ahead and be impressive. And while, yes, technically they could re-sign Goedert, but I think the age and the fact they didn't really want to re-sign him this offseason means he's probably in the final year of his deal. So there's blood in the water, or I guess money in the water right now, and 3 guys have a chance to go ahead and earn it. Now, speaking of money, and Jalen Carter's name was back in the news this week after some fans just found his most recent viral quote on the contract situation that surely is priority 1, at least upcoming, for Howie Roseman in the next 12 months. As Carter said shortly after an OTA practice a couple of weeks ago that, quote, "Money's good and all that, but after we just won that ring, you saw how we all looked. That's better than just one person getting paid. I'm just grinding every day to try to get to another Super Bowl." That sounds pretty good. I mean, honestly, if Jalen Carter is more focused on winning than making the most money in the NFL, that's going to be great news for Philadelphia, if he's telling the truth. I mean, it's likely the whole reason Philadelphia did not make a big offseason splash like, say, a Trey Hendrickson is because despite having $30 million in open cap space, Jalen Carter's contract is looming, as the soon-to-be third-year Eagle is expected to garner the highest-paid defensive tackle contract in the league, which would need to surpass Chris Jones's current league-leading $31.75 million a year. If, and it's a big if, Carter is willing to take some sort of discount, whether that's void years like Jalen Hurts, or maybe just a tad bit less, aka not clean the Eagles out for every penny he can get, the ramifications that will have on the Birds, say, the next 5 years cannot be overstated. And let me just be clear, I'm not calling for Jalen Carter to take less money, because if I were to ask you at your current job, at a desk, or wherever you're working right now, to take less money, you would laugh at me and say, "Thomas, that's ridiculous." But it does show selflessness, which seems to be something that's happening under Nick Sirianni since his tenure that I've absolutely loved in Philadelphia. I mean, for instance, look what Jalen Hurts' agent Nicole Lynn said just last week regarding Hurts becoming, at the time, the highest paid quarterback in the NFL.
Jalen is just such a selfless guy. I mean, he was adamant about whatever deal, he told me to do the deal. He didn't want any updates till it was done, which is very rare. You have a lot of clients, they're like, "Give me every update. What's the counter?" He's like, "I don't want to hear anything. Just tell me when it's done." And he's like, "Don't screw the team. Make sure my team is around me." And so I actually remember coming back to him and the day that the deal was done and saying, "Hey, you're the highest paid player in NFL history." And his response was, "Well, I didn't ask you to do all that." And I was just like, okay.
All right.
Thanks. I thought you were going to say, thank you, good job.
Right.
But he was so concerned about his team.
Yes.
Like, how am I going to keep my team around? How are these guys still going to be paid? And he wanted me to show him. How does it affect the cap? So the option bonuses help Jalen to have peace that, hey, don't worry that you're getting $51 million a year. We've done it this way so it doesn't affect the cap. The cap hit is not that large. Like, he needed to be educated on that before he would let me accept the deal because he cared so much about his teammates.
But it's nice to know, at least externally, money does not seem to be the focus. I think the one thing Philadelphia might ask him to do less of in 2025 is potentially play. Because including the playoffs last year, Carter had over 1,000 snaps, which is a lot, although just to compare, take prime Aaron Donald, the guy Carter is compared to the most, and in 2021, Donald played 1,041 snaps during the regular season alone. Jalen Carter, on the other hand, played 831 snaps, again during the regular season. Obviously, the extra 200 came during the playoffs. And this led to a greater conversation the past couple of weeks about how much do you play Jalen Carter? Do you pull him back just a little bit? That way he plays less than 1,000 snaps. And well, he was actually asked to Vic Fangio this exact question a couple weeks ago during minicamp. I think Vic's answer is probably how I would answer it as well.
Well, in Jalen's case, the two plays he had at the end of the Rams game, which everybody has alluded to many times, those were his 68th and 69th snaps in that game.
I don't mean from obviously he showed that he was well conditioned last year. I just mean from the perspective of, long term, if he's playing an extreme number of snaps every year, do you worry that his performance can drop off?
He's still a young pup.
Jalen Carter is extremely young, and honestly, put him out there as much as you physically can. Don't overwork him. Obviously, there's a balance here, but I trust Vic to do the right thing. And obviously, Carter getting more or less snaps can be debated till the cows come home, but I do think the Eagles have done a really good job having solid answers for when, because it will happen, Carter is not on the field. Starting, of course, with everybody's favorite dark horse breakout candidate this year in Moro Jomo. But putting Big O aside for a second, Philadelphia also has the best shape of his career version of Jordan Davis, whether you believe that or not, I tend to, as well as the polarizing rookie in the Vanilla Gorilla and training camp standout from last season, Thomas Booker. I think this D-line is going to eat no matter if Carter plays 1,000 snaps, 1,200 snaps, or 800 snaps in 2025. Now, flying back to the point I made earlier about the culture in Philadelphia, and Brandon Graham was one of a few Eagles at Fanatics Fest in NYC this weekend, which, by the way, friend of the show, Andy DeBona, actually covered this weekend as a credentialed media member for the PhillySpecialShow.com, and caught this viral moment from BG talking about how great Nick Sirianni was at keeping the team together in 2024.
Want to have a good team is how you respond, and I think it started from the top. I mean, hearing Nick, just staying consistent with his message, not getting too high or too low during them low times, and just saying, hey, y'all, we're going to weather the storm. I'm here until they let me go. Let's keep working. And I feel like everybody just kept believing in the dream. We just kept chipping. After that bye week, though, I don't know, something just clicked where it was just like we needed that break, and then we just went on our run. And I mean, man, I just think it was the consistency of Nick first, and then being able to still have our meetings ran a certain way, and Coach Vic holding us accountable, and everybody just paying attention to the details that we kind of let slip in early on in the season. But I think it was more of just his leadership, and then it just trickled down, that trickle effect, because nobody didn't believe that we didn't have a good team. We just felt like we don't let them little things beat us. We're going to be all right. So I think that's really what we was focused on.
I talked about Sirianni last week after Dallas Goedert mentioned that Sirianni was spending the offseason refocusing the guys and making sure they don't buy into their own post-Super Bowl hype. But throw the praise from BG next to the quote last week from free agent offseason edition Kendall Lamb, I think you'll finally fully understand just how impressive Philly's culture has been and raved about so much. Lamb, of course, was a Miami Dolphin last year, and when asked recently the difference between his former team down south and his current one in Philadelphia, Lamb noted, quote, I understand why the Eagles reached 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. Players are never late, never toxic, and after every practice, the room spends 15 minutes sharing personal struggles to stay mentally sharp, something I never got with the Dolphins. And that quote right there from a backup offensive lineman should give you so much hope for 2025. Like, yes, winning is all about talent, and Philadelphia has a ton of talent, but they also have something that other teams, clearly Dolphins, don't have, and that is a super strong locker room, a super strong organization that players love playing for and actually want to defend and stay with and hopefully be here for the long run. And even though us fans are not inside the locker room to see these moments, it kind of is the glue that we have noticed from the past 3 Super Bowl teams. Like, you can kind of feel when a locker room in Philadelphia is poised for a big year. 2017, for instance, had that magic. No one could deny it, even with the Wentz injury. Likewise, 2022 felt different from the year prior and the year after. And of course, the current 2024 squad, which again largely remains intact, there's something special going on. It's nice to hear it compared to other organizations to at least give us fans a picture inside the house. Now, speaking of the Dolphins quickly here, and following up on the Jair Alexander situation last week, we covered it. Did the Eagles offer something? Did they not? Who knows? But I've seen a lot of you guys in my comment section asking now about Jalen Ramsey, who at one point this offseason we talked about was a potential trade target, but that seems to have died off. As Adam Schefter confirmed last week that Ramsey's goal is to play out west, saying, quote, Jalen Ramsey will get traded. It'll be, I would expect, before the start of training camp, and he wants to be on the West Coast. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Safe to say Philadelphia, last time I checked, is far away from the West Coast as you can possibly be, and with that new news nugget, plus his age, plus the Fangio hate, plus the expensive contract, yeah, I'm still going to be out on this one. Of course, it is the offseason, and so we're going to have shows like this where we break down new news that comes out, but also more shows when there isn't news, deep dives into training camp position battles and what happened last year and all sorts of fun stuff. And so even though it's a little bit quieter right now, I really appreciate you guys dropping a like and watching the shows because it helps me put food on the table, and it's always fun to go ahead and get you guys' reaction in the comment section as always. Plenty more stuff happening next couple of days and weeks. Fingers crossed, we have an Eagle interview hopefully on Thursday's show. Stay tuned, waiting to confirm that, but I'll let you guys know. Thomas Mott hanging out on a Monday. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.